Marcus Chen pushed his cleaning cart down the long hallway of Harmony Tech building. It was 11 p.m. and the office was quiet. Most people had gone home hours ago. Only a few workers stayed late, their computer screens glowing in the dark offices. Marcus liked this time of night. No one bothered him. No one looked at him like he did not belong. During the day, people walked past him like he was invisible. They talked about important business things while he emptied their trash cans. They never thought the janitor might understand what they were saying. But Marcus understood everything. He had a computer science degree from a good university. He knew about software and technology. He also knew about music. Music was his real love. Every night after cleaning, Marcus would sneak into the empty conference rooms. There was an old piano in conference room B. The company used to have music meetings there, but not anymore. The piano sat covered with dust and forgotten papers. Marcus would sit at that piano and play. His fingers moved across the keys like magic. He played classical music, jazz, and songs he wrote himself. The music filled the empty room and made Marcus feel alive. For those few minutes, he was not just a janitor. He was a musician. Marcus had grown up poor. His family came to America when he was young. His parents worked 2 jobs each just to pay for food and rent. They wanted Marcus to study something safe, something that would give him a steady job. So Marcus studied computers in college. But at night, Marcus studied music. He learned to play piano by watching videos online. He practiced on a small keyboard in his tiny apartment. His neighbors complained about the noise, so he used headphones most of the time. After college, Marcus looked for computer jobs. But the market was tough. Companies wanted people with experience, not just degrees. Marcus applied to hundreds of jobs. He got a few interviews, but no offers. His money ran out. His parents could not help him anymore. That was when Marcus saw the janitor job at Harmony Tech. The pay was not good, but it was something. Marcus thought he would work there for a few months while looking for a real job. That was 2 years ago. Harmony Tech made software for musicians. They had programs that helped people record music, edit songs, and create beats. It should have been Marcus's dream job. He understood both music and computers, but nobody knew that. To them, he was just the guy who cleaned their offices. Marcus watched the company struggle. He heard the workers talking about problems. Their software was old and slow. Other companies made better programs. Customers were leaving. Sales were going down. People were worried about losing their jobs. Marcus had ideas. He saw ways to fix the software problems. He understood what musicians really wanted because he was a musician himself. But who would listen to a janitor? Every day, Marcus cleaned the office of the CEO, Richard Blackwood. Blackwood was a businessman, not a musician. He bought the company 5 years ago because he thought music software would make money. But he did not understand music or the people who made it. Blackwood, S office was big and fancy. It had expensive furniture and paintings on the walls. In one corner sat a beautiful black piano. It looked expensive and old. Blackwood never played it. He probably could not play it. It was just for show, like everything else in his office. Marcus always spent extra time cleaning that office, not because it was dirty, but because of the piano. He would look at it and imagine playing it. He wondered what it would sound like. His little keyboard at home had only 61 keys. This piano had 88 keys and probably sounded amazing. But Marcus never touched it. He was just the janitor. The piano was not for him. One night, Marcus was cleaning conference room B as usual. The old piano there had a broken key. The sound was off. Marcus tried to fix it, but he needed better tools. He sat at the piano anyway and played around the broken key. That was when he heard footsteps in the hallway. Marcus quickly covered the piano and grabbed his cleaning supplies. He pretended to be wiping down the table when someone walked past the room. Marcus' S heart was beating fast. If someone caught him playing the piano, he might lose his job. The company had rules about using office equipment. Marcus was supposed to clean, not play music. But the person kept walking. Marcus was safe. After that night, Marcus was more careful. He only played the piano when he was sure everyone had left. He listened for footsteps and voices. He always had his cleaning supplies ready as an excuse. The music kept Marcus going. During his long shifts cleaning toilets and emptying trash, he thought about the songs he would play later. He made up melodies in his head while he vacuumed carpets. Music made the boring work bearable. Marcus also used his cleaning job to learn about the company. He read documents that people left on their desks. He listened to phone calls and meetings. He learned about the software problems and the financial troubles. Marcus started writing down his ideas. At home, he worked on solutions to the company's problems. He designed new software features. He wrote code that could make the programs faster and easier to use. He combined his music knowledge with his computer skills. But Marcus kept his ideas to himself. Who would believe that a janitor could help save the company? People would laugh at him. They would think he was crazy. So Marcus continued his double life. By day, he was the invisible janitor. By night, he was a musician and a programmer. He lived in two different worlds, and no one knew about the secret world where he belonged. Marcus dreamed that someday things would change. Maybe someone would discover his talents. Maybe he would get a chance to show what he could really do. But until then, he would keep cleaning and keep playing piano in the empty rooms when no one was watching. The piano in conference room B became Marcus's closest friend. It listened to his music without judging. It never cared that he was just a janitor. When Marcus played, he felt like the person he was meant to be. It was a Thursday night and Marcus was cleaning the executive floor. This was the top floor where all the important people worked. The CEO, the vice presidents, and the board members all had offices here. Marcus usually cleaned this floor last, because it took the longest. The executive floor was different from the rest of the building. The carpets were thicker. The furniture was more expensive. Even the trash cans looked fancy. Marcus always felt out of place here, but the work had to be done. As Marcus pushed his cart toward the boardroom, he heard voices. This was strange. It was almost midnight. Most executives left by 6 p.m. Marcus stopped and listened carefully. The voices were coming from the big boardroom at the end of the hall. The door was closed, but Marcus could hear people talking inside. He recognized one voice immediately. It was Richard Blackwood, the CEO. Marcus should have just kept cleaning and minded his own business. But something made him curious. Why was the CEO here so late? Who was he talking to? Marcus quietly moved his cart closer to the boardroom. He pretended to clean the water fountain nearby. The voices became clearer. There were 3 people in the room. Marcus recognized CEO Blackwood and Sarah Martinez, the chief financial officer. The third voice belonged to someone Marcus did not know. This person had a deep voice and spoke with authority. Marcus carefully positioned himself near the door. He could hear almost everything now. The stranger was talking about money. Big numbers. Millions of dollars. Marcus realized this person must be an investor, someone who had put money into the company. The numbers are terrible, Richard, the investor said. His voice was cold and angry. We are losing money every month. Sales are down 40% from last year. Our biggest competitor just took 3 of our major clients. Marcus heard papers rustling. Someone was going through financial reports. Sarah Martinez spoke next. We have maybe 6 months of cash left. If we don't turn things around quickly, we will have to close the company. Marcus's heart sank. He knew the company was struggling, but he did not know it was this bad. 6 months. That meant Marcus would lose his job. All the workers would lose their jobs. CEO Blackwood sounded frustrated. We are working on new products. The development team says they will have something ready in 8 months. 8 months? The investor laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Richard, you have 6 months of money left, and your team needs 8 months to finish a product. Do you see the problem here? There was silence in the room. Marcus could almost feel the tension through the door. The investor continued. I have been patient, Richard, we all have. But patience does not pay the bills. This company is dying and you seem unable to save it. Marcus heard a chair scraping against the floor. Someone was standing up. Here is what is going to happen, the investor said. You have 3 months to show real improvement, not promises, not plans, real results. Increased sales, new customers, something that proves this company can survive. And if we don't, CEO Blackwood asked quietly, then we will find new management, someone who can actually run this company. Your time as CEO will be over. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The investor was threatening to fire the CEO. If that happened, everything would change. New management might fire all the workers and start over. Sarah Martinez tried to speak. We could cut costs, maybe lay off some employees. How many employees do you have left? The investor asked. 43, she answered. That is already skeleton crew. You cut more people and you won't be able to make any products at all. No, the problem is not too many workers, the problem is leadership. Marcus heard footsteps moving around the room. The investor was pacing. You know what your biggest problem is, Richard? You don't understand your own business. You bought a music software company, but you know nothing about music. You hired programmers, but you don't understand what musicians actually want. This hit Marcus hard. The investor was right. CEO Blackwood was a businessman, but he was not a musician. He made decisions based on spreadsheets and market research, not on real understanding of music. Marcus thought about all the ideas he had written down at home. Ideas that came from being both a programmer and a musician. Ideas that could actually help the company. The investor kept talking. Your competitors understand musicians because they are musicians. They create software that musicians love to use. Your software feels like it was designed by accountants. That's not fair, CEO Blackwood protested. We do market research. We talk to customers. Talking to customers is not the same as being a customer, the investor shot back. When was the last time you actually used your own software to create music? Silence. CEO Blackwood could not answer because he had never used the software to make music. He probably did not even know how to use it. Marcus pressed closer to the door. This conversation was amazing. The investor was saying everything that Marcus had been thinking for 2 years. Look, the investor said, his voice getting softer. I still believe this company can succeed. The music software market is growing. People want better tools to create music, but you need leadership that understands both the technology and the art. Where am I supposed to find someone like that? CEO Blackwood asked. That is your job to figure out. But figure it out fast. 3 months, Richard. Show me real progress or we will find someone who can. Marcus heard chairs moving. The meeting was ending. Panic hit Marcus. If these people came out and found him by the door, they would know he was listening. He could get fired immediately. Marcus quickly grabbed his cleaning supplies and moved away from the boardroom. He pretended to be cleaning the windows at the other end of the hallway. A few minutes later, the boardroom door opened. 3 people came out. Marcus kept his back turned and focused on the windows. He heard their footsteps going toward the elevators. After they left, Marcus stood alone in the hallway. His mind was racing. Everything he had just heard changed how he saw the company. They were not just struggling. They were dying. But Marcus had also heard something else. The investor was right about what the company needed. They needed someone who understood both music and technology, someone who could think like a musician and program like an engineer. Marcus realized something incredible. He was exactly the person the investor had described. He understood music because he lived it every day. He understood technology because he had studied it in college. He had ideas that could save the company. But he was just a janitor. Nobody would listen to him. Nobody would take his ideas seriously. Marcus finished cleaning the executive floor, but his mind was not on his work. He kept thinking about the conversation he had overheard. 3 months. The company had 3 months to change everything. Marcus rode the elevator down to the parking garage. He made a decision. He could not stay silent anymore. Somehow he had to find a way to share his ideas. The company was going to die anyway. What did he have to lose? But how could a janitor get the attention of a CEO? How could he make them listen to ideas that could save their jobs and their company? Marcus did not have answers yet. But for the first time in 2 years, he felt like he had a purpose bigger than just cleaning offices and playing piano in empty rooms. Marcus could not sleep that night. He lay in his small bed staring at the ceiling. The investor's words kept playing in his mind like a broken record. 3 months. The company had 3 months to change everything, or everyone would lose their jobs. Marcus got up and turned on his computer. He opened the files where he kept his ideas for fixing the company's software. Page after page of notes, drawings, and code. Solutions that could make the programs faster, easier to use, and more creative. For 2 years, Marcus had been thinking about these problems while he cleaned offices. He saw how frustrated the programmers got when their code did not work. He heard customers complaining on phone calls. He watched as competitors released better products. But Marcus also understood something the other programmers did not. He knew what it felt like to create music. He knew the excitement of writing a perfect melody or finding the right harmony. Most importantly, he knew what musicians needed from their software. The current programs were too complicated. Musicians wanted to focus on creating, not on learning difficult computer commands. The software should feel like playing an instrument, natural and responsive. Instead, it felt like doing taxes. Marcus had designed solutions for all of these problems. But his ideas were just words on paper. Nobody knew about them. Nobody would ever know about them unless he found a way to speak up. The next morning, Marcus arrived at work early. He usually started his shift at 6 p.m., but today he came at 8 a.m. He wanted to see how the company worked during normal business hours. Marcus parked his car and walked into the building. The lobby was busy with employees arriving for work. People wore nice clothes and carried laptops. They talked about meetings and deadlines. Marcus felt out of place in his janitor uniform, but he was determined. Marcus took the elevator to the 3rd floor where the software development team worked. He had cleaned this area many times, but he had never seen it during the day. Programmers sat at their desks typing code. Some had multiple computer screens. Others had headphones on. Marcus found the team leader, a woman named Janet Kim. She was about 30 years old with short black hair and thick glasses. Marcus had overheard her many times talking about technical problems. She seemed to really care about making good software. Marcus took a deep breath and walked over to her desk. "Excuse me, Miss Kim," Marcus said quietly. Janet looked up from her computer. She seemed confused to see the janitor during work hours. "Oh, hello," she said. "Is there a problem with the cleaning?" "No, ma'am, the cleaning is fine. I wanted to talk to you about the software." Janet's confusion grew. "The software? I'm sorry, I don't understand." Marcus felt his heart beating fast. This was harder than he had imagined. "I have some ideas that might help with the problems the team has been having." Janet stared at Marcus for a moment. Then she glanced around at the other programmers. Some of them were listening now. "I appreciate your interest," Janet said carefully, "but software development is very technical. It requires years of training and experience." "I have a computer science degree," Marcus said quickly, "from State University, and I understand music. I'm a musician." The room got quiet. Several programmers had stopped working and were watching. This strange conversation. Janet seemed unsure what to do. "I see. Well, we have very tight deadlines right now. Maybe you could email me your ideas sometime?" Marcus knew this was a polite way of saying no. Janet was not taking him seriously. To her, he was just a janitor who thought he could help with programming. "Could I show you just one idea?" Marcus asked. "It would only take 5 minutes." Before Janet could answer, a loud voice interrupted. "What is going on here?" Everyone turned to see Richard Blackwood, the CEO, walking toward them. He looked angry and confused. Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. "Mr. Blackwood," Janet said nervously. The janitor wanted to discuss some software ideas. CEO Blackwood stared at Marcus like he was looking at something strange and unwelcome. "The janitor?" "Yes, sir," Marcus said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I have ideas that could help save the company." Several programmers laughed quietly. Marcus felt his face getting hot with embarrassment. CEO Blackwood walked closer to Marcus. "Let me get this straight. You clean our toilets, and now you think You can run our business? I don't want to run the business, sir. I just want to help fix the software problems. Software problems? CEO Blackwood's voice was getting louder. What would a janitor know about software problems? Marcus felt everyone staring at him. He wanted to run away and hide, but then he remembered the conversation he had overheard last night. The investor saying the company needed someone who understood both music and technology. The warning that everyone would lose their jobs in 3 months. I know the software is too slow, Marcus said. I know customers are leaving because our programs crash too much. I know musicians hate the user interface because it's confusing and unnatural. CEO Blackwood's eyes narrowed. How do you know all that? Marcus realized he had made a mistake. He could not tell the CEO that he had been listening to private conversations and reading documents on people's desks. I hear things while I'm cleaning, Marcus said weakly. You hear things? CEO Blackwood repeated. So you're saying you eavesdrop on private conversations? Marcus felt trapped. No, sir. People just talk openly sometimes. I can't help hearing. CEO. Blackwood turned to the programmers who were watching. This is what happens when we don't maintain proper boundaries. The cleaning staff thinks they can offer business advice. Marcus felt humiliated, but he refused to give up. Sir, I really do have good ideas if you would just listen for 5 minutes. 5 minutes? CEO Blackwood interrupted. You want me to waste 5 minutes listening to janitors' fantasies about software development? The CEO walked over to his office door, which was visible from the development area. Marcus could see the beautiful black piano in the corner of the office. CEO Blackwood followed Marcus's gaze and saw him looking at the piano. A mean smile crossed the CEO's face. Tell you what, CEO Blackwood said loudly so everyone could hear. I'll make you a deal. You see that piano in my office? Marcus nodded. If you can actually play that piano and impress me, I'll listen to your ideas. Hell, I'll do more than that. CEO Blackwood's voice was full of mockery. If you can really play that piano, I'll make you CEO of this company. The programmers burst out laughing. Someone whispered, This should be good. CEO Blackwood was clearly joking. He thought he was making fun of Marcus in a way that would embarrass him and end this ridiculous conversation. No janitor could play piano well enough to impress anyone, and the idea of making a janitor CEO was so absurd it was hilarious. But CEO Blackwood did not know Marcus's secret. He did not know that Marcus had been playing piano since he was a child. He did not know that Marcus practiced for hours every night. He did not know that music was Marcus's greatest talent and deepest love. Marcus looked at the piano in the CEO's office. It was a beautiful instrument, probably worth more than Marcus made in a year. He had dreamed of playing a piano like that. Marcus felt afraid, but he also felt something else. Opportunity. This was his chance. Maybe his only chance. Are you serious about that deal? Marcus asked. CEO Blackwood laughed harder. Absolutely. If you can play that piano and actually impress me, I'll make you CEO. But when you can't, you'll stop bothering my employees with your crazy ideas. Deal? Marcus took a deep breath. Deal. CEO Blackwood's smile grew wider. He was sure he had just won an easy victory. He was about to embarrass this foolish janitor in front of the whole development team. But Marcus was not afraid anymore. He was excited. Finally, someone was going to hear his music. Finally, he would get a chance to show what he could really do. The piano was waiting. Marcus followed CEO Blackwood into the big office. Behind them came Janet Kim and several other programmers. Word had spread quickly through the office, and more employees were gathering to watch. Some looked curious, others looked amused. All of them expected to see Marcus fail. The piano sat in the corner of the office like a sleeping giant. It was a Steinway grand, black and shiny. Marcus had only seen pianos like this in concert halls and music schools. He had never actually played one. CEO Blackwood sat behind his large desk with his arms crossed. He had the confident look of someone who knew he was about to win a bet. Well, he said, go ahead, impress me. Marcus walked slowly toward the piano. His hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, but from excitement. This piano was beautiful. He could already imagine how it would sound. Some of the employees whispered to each other. Marcus heard someone say, "This is embarrassing." Another person said, "Poor guy has no idea what he's getting into." Marcus reached the piano and gently lifted the lid that covered the keys. The black and white keys looked perfect, like a smile with beautiful teeth. Marcus sat on the piano bench and adjusted the height. CEO Blackwood tapped his fingers on his desk impatiently. "Any time now. We don't have all day." Marcus placed his hands on the keys but did not press them yet. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He thought about all the nights he had practiced on his small keyboard at home, all the dreams he had while cleaning these offices, all the music that lived inside his heart. Then Marcus began to play. The first notes were soft and gentle like raindrops on a window. Marcus played a melody he had written himself, something he called Dreams in the Night. It was a slow, beautiful song that spoke about hope and longing. The office became completely silent. Even CEO Blackwood stopped tapping his fingers. As Marcus continued to play, the music grew stronger and more complex. His left hand played deep, rich bass notes while his right hand danced across the higher keys. The melody flowed like water, sometimes peaceful, sometimes excited, always beautiful. Marcus had forgotten about the people watching him. He had forgotten about the bet and the embarrassment. There was only the music and the incredible feeling of playing such a magnificent piano. The Steinway responded to every touch of Marcus's fingers. When he pressed gently, the notes were soft and warm. When he pressed harder, the sound filled the entire office with power. This piano could express every emotion Marcus felt. Marcus moved into the second part of his composition. This section was faster and more energetic. His fingers flew across the keys with perfect accuracy. He played complex chords that most amateur pianists could never manage. The music told a story of struggle and determination. The employees watching were no longer whispering. Their mouths were open in surprise. They had expected to hear a janitor stumble through "Mary Had a Little Lamb." Instead, they were hearing a virtuoso performance that belonged in a concert hall. Janet Kim stared at Marcus with wide eyes. She had studied music in college before becoming a programmer. She recognized the incredible skill she was witnessing. This was not just someone who could play piano. This was someone who understood music at the deepest level. CEO Blackwood had stopped looking confident. His arms were no longer crossed. He was leaning forward in his chair, listening intently to every note. Marcus reached the climax of his composition. This was the part where all the emotions came together in a powerful explosion of sound. His hands moved across the entire keyboard, playing chords that made the piano sing with joy and triumph. But Marcus was not just playing his composition. As he played, he began to speak, his voice mixing with the music. "This is what our software should feel like," Marcus said while his hands continued to create beautiful music. "Music is about emotion and creativity. It should flow naturally like this melody." Marcus shifted into a different style, playing jazz chords with complex harmonies. "Our current software makes musicians think too much about technology. They should be thinking about art." The music changed again, becoming more modern and electronic sounding, even though Marcus was only using the acoustic piano. "We can combine traditional music with new technology, but the technology should be invisible. Musicians should focus on creating, not on learning complicated computer commands." Marcus played faster now, showing off techniques that took years to master. "Every musician thinks differently. Some like to compose slowly and carefully, others like to improvise and experiment. Our software tries to force everyone to work the same way. That's why musicians get frustrated and choose our competitors." The music built to an incredible crescendo. Marcus's hands moved so fast they almost looked blurred. The piano filled the room with layers of sound that seemed impossible to create with just 10 fingers. Music software should adapt to the musician, not the other way around, Marcus continued. It should learn how each person likes to work and make their job easier, not harder. Finally, Marcus played the ending of his composition. The music slowed down and became gentle again like the beginning, but now it carried all the complexity and emotion of the journey. The last notes hung in the air like a beautiful memory. Marcus lifted his hands from the keys and sat in silence for a moment. Then he turned around to face the people who had been watching. The office was completely quiet. No one moved. No one spoke. They all stared at Marcus like they had seen something impossible. CEO Blackwood was the first to break the silence. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. "My name is Marcus Chen," Marcus replied. "I'm a janitor, but I'm also a musician and a programmer. I have a degree in computer science, and I've been playing piano for 15 years. Janet Kim found her voice. "That was incredible. I've never heard anyone play like that." Marcus stood up from the piano bench. "I've been thinking about our software problems for 2 years. I know what's wrong and I know how to fix it. Musicians are leaving our company because our programs don't understand music the way musicians do." CEO Blackwood was still staring at Marcus in shock. "You said you were a programmer?" "I studied computer science in college. I took this job because I couldn't find programming work, but I never stopped learning. I've been writing code and designing solutions for this company's problems." Marcus walked closer to CEO Blackwood's desk. "You made a deal with me. You said if I could play piano and impress you, you would make me CEO." CEO Blackwood's face went pale. He had made that promise as a joke, never thinking Marcus could actually play piano. Now he was trapped by his own words. "That was..." CEO Blackwood started to say. "That was a promise," Marcus interrupted, "in front of all these witnesses. You shook hands with me on that deal." The employees were looking back and forth between Marcus and CEO Blackwood. Everyone remembered the promise. Everyone had heard it clearly. CEO Blackwood realized he was in serious trouble. If he broke his promise now, he would look weak and dishonest in front of his employees. But if he kept his promise, he would have to make a janitor the CEO of his company. "The board of directors would never approve this," CEO Blackwood said desperately. "I can't just make anyone CEO." Marcus smiled. "You can make me interim CEO while the board considers the change. That's a normal business practice. Give me 3 months to prove myself." 3 months. The same amount of time the investor had given CEO Blackwood to save the company. Marcus had not forgotten the conversation he overheard. He knew the company was dying. He knew CEO Blackwood was about to be fired anyway. This was not just about keeping a promise. This was about saving everyone's jobs. 3 months, Marcus repeated. "If I can't improve the company in 3 months, you can fire me and find someone else. But if I can save this company, I deserve a real chance to lead it." CEO Blackwood looked around the room at his employees. They were all watching him, waiting to see what he would do. If he broke his promise now, he would lose their respect forever. But more importantly, CEO Blackwood was starting to realize something. The investor was right. The company needed someone who understood both music and technology. And Marcus had just proven he was exactly that person. Maybe this crazy situation was actually the answer to his problems. CEO Blackwood sat in his chair for a long time without speaking. Marcus could see him thinking hard about the situation. The other employees waited quietly, wondering what would happen next. Finally, CEO Blackwood stood up. "Everyone out," he said. "I need to talk to Marcus alone." The programmers and other workers slowly left the office. Janet Kim was the last to leave. She looked at Marcus with respect and curiosity before closing the door behind her. Now Marcus and CEO Blackwood were alone. Marcus felt nervous, but he also felt proud. He had proven himself. Whatever happened next, he had shown everyone that he was more than just a janitor. CEO Blackwood walked over to the window and looked out at the city. "You put me in an impossible situation," he said. "You created the situation yourself," Marcus replied. "I just accepted your challenge." CEO Blackwood turned around. "Do you have any idea how crazy this is? Making a janitor the CEO of a technology company?" "It's not any crazier than the current situation," Marcus said. "The company is failing under the current management." What do you have to lose by trying something different? CEO Blackwood's face changed. Marcus could see surprise and worry in his eyes. How do you know the company is failing? Marcus realized he had said too much. He could not tell CEO Blackwood about overhearing the meeting with the investor. I see the numbers on reports that people leave on their desks. I hear phone calls with unhappy customers. I watch good employees looking for new jobs. This was mostly true. Marcus had learned about the company's problems in many different ways. Over 2 years, CEO Blackwood walked back to his desk and sat down. Let's say I agree to this crazy idea. Let's say I make you interim CEO for 3 months. What exactly would you do? Marcus felt excited. This was his chance to share the ideas he had been developing for so long. First, I would fix the software problems that are driving customers away. Our programs crash too often and run too slowly. I've identified the specific code issues that cause these problems. Marcus pulled out his phone and showed CEO Blackwood some notes he had written. See this? Our audio processing algorithms are inefficient. They use too much computer memory and processor power. I've designed better algorithms that would make the software run twice as fast. CEO Blackwood looked at the notes on Marcus's phone. The technical details looked impressive, but he did not understand most of it. Second, Marcus continued, I would redesign the user interface. Musicians hate our current interface because it's too complicated. It was designed by programmers for programmers, not by musicians for musicians. Marcus put away his phone and gestured with his hands as he talked. When a musician sits down to create music, they want to focus on melody, harmony, and rhythm. They don't want to think about file formats and buffer sizes and sample rates. Our software should handle all the technical stuff automatically. CEO Blackwood was listening carefully now. How would you redesign the interface? I would make it work like a real recording studio, Marcus explained. Musicians understand recording studios. They know how mixing boards work and how to use microphones and instruments. Our software should look and feel familiar, not like a computer program. Marcus walked over to CEO Blackwood's computer. May I show you something? CEO Blackwood nodded. Marcus sat at the computer and opened a web browser. He went to a website that showed his personal programming projects. I've been working on these ideas at home, Marcus said. Look at this prototype interface I designed. On the computer screen was a beautiful program that looked like a real recording studio. Instead of complicated menus and buttons, it had virtual instruments, mixing knobs, and recording equipment that looked realistic. This is amazing, CEO Blackwood said. When did you create this? I've been working on it for 8 months, Marcus replied. Every night after my cleaning shift, I go home and program. I've created solutions for all the major problems our customers complain about. Marcus showed CEO Blackwood several more examples. Better ways to edit music, faster methods for adding special effects, simpler tools for mixing and balancing sound. Our competitors are succeeding because they understand what musicians really want, Marcus explained. They create software that feels natural and intuitive. Our software feels like work. Music creation should feel like play. CEO Blackwood was impressed, but he still looked worried. Even if your technical ideas are good, running a company involves more than programming. There are financial decisions, marketing strategies, employee management. Do you know anything about business? Marcus smiled. I've been watching this business every day for 2 years. I know which marketing campaigns work and which ones fail. I know which employees are productive and which ones are causing problems. I know why customers choose our competitors. Marcus sat down in the chair across from CEO Blackwood's desk. But you're right. I don't have experience making business decisions. That's why I'm asking for 3 months as interim CEO, not permanent CEO. Give me a chance to prove my ideas work. If they don't, you can fire me and go back to the old way. CEO Blackwood was quiet for several minutes. Marcus could see him thinking about everything that had happened. The piano performance, the technical solutions, the business knowledge Marcus had demonstrated. There's something else you should know, CEO Blackwood said finally. The company, is in worse trouble than most employees realize. We have major investors who are threatening to pull their money. If we don't show significant improvement in 3 months, they will fire me and probably shut down the company. Marcus pretended to be surprised by this news. 3 months? That's exactly the timeline I suggested for proving myself. It's not a coincidence, CEO Blackwood said. 3 months is all the time we have left. If you become interim CEO, you won't just be trying to prove yourself. You'll be trying to save the entire company. Marcus felt the weight of this responsibility, but he was not afraid. I understand, but think about it this way. You're already facing failure in 3 months. What do you have to lose by letting me try? CEO Blackwood stood up and walked around his office. He looked at the piano where Marcus had performed so beautifully. He looked at his computer screen where Marcus's innovative software designs were still displayed. The board of directors will think I've lost my mind, CEO Blackwood said. Maybe, Marcus replied. Or maybe they'll think you finally found a solution to problems that traditional business approaches couldn't solve. CEO Blackwood stopped walking and looked directly at Marcus. If I agree to this, there will be conditions. You'll report to me every day. You'll have to explain every decision, and if the investors don't like what they see, I'll have to fire you immediately. Marcus felt his heart beating faster. Are you saying yes? CEO Blackwood took a deep breath. I'm saying I'll propose it to the board of directors. I'll tell them we're trying a new approach for 3 months. If they approve, you'll become interim CEO starting Monday. Marcus could hardly believe what he was hearing. A few hours ago, he was just a janitor with big dreams. Now he might become the CEO of a technology company. What do I need to do to prepare? Marcus asked. First, you need to dress the part, CEO Blackwood said, looking at Marcus's janitor uniform. CEOs don't wear maintenance clothes. Second, you need to prepare a presentation for the board meeting tomorrow. You'll need to convince 5 successful business people that a janitor can save their investment. Marcus felt nervous about the board meeting, but he was also excited. I can do that. I've been preparing for this opportunity for 2 years without knowing it. CEO Blackwood walked over to his desk and picked up his business card. He wrote something on the back and handed it to Marcus. That's my personal phone number, CEO Blackwood said. Call me tonight after you've prepared your presentation. I want to hear what you plan to say to the board. Marcus took the card and stood up. Thank you for giving me this chance. I won't let you down. Don't thank me yet, CEO Blackwood replied. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Running a company is not like playing piano. There's no beautiful music at the end, just profit and loss statements. Marcus walked toward the office door, then stopped and turned around. You're wrong about that, he said. When a company creates products that people love, when employees feel proud of their work, when customers' lives are improved by what we do, that's the most beautiful music of all. CEO Blackwood smiled, for the first time since their conversation began. Maybe you really can do this job. Marcus left CEO Blackwood's office feeling like he was walking on air. But as he stepped into the main work area, the feeling quickly changed. Every employee in the building was staring at him. News had spread fast about what happened in the CEO's office. People were talking in small groups, whispering and pointing at Marcus. Some looked curious, others looked angry, and many looked confused. Marcus walked toward the elevator, trying to ignore the stares. But Janet Kim stepped in front of him. Is it true? She asked. Did Mr. Blackwood really say he might make you CEO? Before Marcus could answer, a group of programmers gathered around them. One of them, a tall man named Steve, looked very upset. This is ridiculous, Steve said loudly. I've worked here for 5 years. I have a master's degree in computer science, and now they want to promote the janitor to be my boss? Other employees nodded in agreement. Marcus could feel their anger and resentment. I understand why you're upset, Marcus said calmly, but nothing is decided yet. There's going to be a board meeting tomorrow. A board meeting? Steve laughed angrily. They're actually considering this joke seriously? Janet Kim looked at Marcus with curiosity instead of anger. I have to admit, your piano playing was incredible. And when you talked about software design, you seemed to know what you were talking about. But running a company is completely different. Marcus nodded. You're absolutely right. I have a lot to learn about management and business, but I also have ideas that could help save this company. Save the company? Another programmer named Lisa joined the conversation. What do you mean, save the company? Marcus realized he had said too much again. He could not tell them about the investors' ultimatum. I just mean that everyone knows we're struggling. Our sales are down and customers are unhappy. We need to try new approaches. Steve crossed his arms. So your solution is to put someone with zero management experience in charge? That's not a new approach. That's business suicide. More employees were gathering to listen to the conversation. Marcus felt overwhelmed by all the negative attention. Look, Marcus said, I never asked for this situation. Mr. Blackwood made a challenge and I accepted it. If the board decides against it, I'll go back to cleaning offices and nothing will change. And if they decide in favor of it? Steve asked. Marcus took a deep breath. Then I'll do everything I can to make this company successful. I'll listen to your ideas and respect your experience. I won't pretend to know everything. This seemed to calm some people down, but Steve was still angry. This is the most unprofessional thing I've ever seen. I'm updating my resume tonight. I'm not working for a janitor. Steve walked away and several other employees followed him. Marcus felt terrible. He had wanted to help save people's jobs, but instead he was causing them to quit. Janet Kim stayed behind. Don't let Steve get to you, she said. He's been angry ever since he got passed over for promotion last year. But I have to ask you something honestly. Do you really think you can run this company? Marcus looked around at all the employees watching him. I don't know, he said honestly. But I know I can't do worse than what's happening now. And I have ideas that no one else has tried. Janet nodded slowly. Well, your technical knowledge seemed impressive, and your piano playing was extraordinary. Maybe crazy ideas are what this place needs. Marcus felt grateful for Janet's support. If I get this chance, I'll need help from people like you. People who understand both the technical side and the business side. I'll consider it, Janet said, but you'll have to prove yourself first. Marcus spent the rest of the day trying to work normally, but it was impossible. Everywhere he went, people stared and whispered. Some employees were curious and asked him questions. Others avoided him completely. Marcus left work early to prepare for the board meeting. He went home to his small apartment and sat at his computer. He had to create a presentation that would convince 5 successful business people to take a chance on him. Marcus worked all night. He created charts showing the company's problems and his solutions. He prepared examples of his software designs. He researched the backgrounds of each board member so he would know what they cared about. At 3 a.m., Marcus called CEO Blackwood's personal number. I hope I'm not calling too late, Marcus said. I've been awake too, CEO Blackwood replied. I've been thinking about what I'm going to tell the board tomorrow. Are you ready? Marcus explained his presentation plan. He would start by demonstrating his understanding of the company's problems. Then he would show his technical solutions. Finally, he would present a 3-month plan for turning the company around. That sounds good, CEO Blackwood said. But remember, these board members are investors. They care about money more than technology. You need to show them how your ideas will increase profits. I understand, Marcus said. I've prepared financial projections based on improved customer satisfaction and reduced development costs. CEO Blackwood was quiet for a moment. Marcus, I have to ask you something. Why are you so passionate about saving this company? You could probably get a better programming job somewhere else. Marcus thought about the question. 2 years ago, I was desperate for any job. This company gave me a chance when no one else would. Even though it was just a cleaning job, it kept me alive while I developed my skills. Now I want to give something back. That's admirable, CEO Blackwood said. But business isn't about gratitude. It's about results. The board will only care about whether you can make them money. Then I'll focus on the money, Marcus replied. But between you and me, this is about more than profits. This is about creating something beautiful and useful. Music software should help people express their creativity, not frustrate them. The next morning, Marcus put on the only suit he owned. It was old and didn't fit perfectly, but it was better than his janitor uniform. He arrived at the office an hour early to set up his presentation. The boardroom was intimidating. It had a long table made of expensive wood, leather chairs, and paintings on the walls. Marcus connected his laptop to the big screen and tested his presentation slides. At 9 a.m. sharp, the board members arrived. Marcus recognized them from photos he had found online. There was Margaret Foster, who had started 3 successful companies. David Chen, no relation to Marcus, a former bank president. Sandra Williams, who specialized in technology investments. Robert Taylor, who had turned around several failing businesses. And Dr. Patricia Martinez, who had both medical and business degrees. CEO Blackwood introduced Marcus to each board member. They all looked skeptical and slightly amused, like they were about to watch an entertaining but pointless show. "Ladies and gentlemen," CEO Blackwood said, "I know this situation is unusual, but I believe Marcus Chen may have solutions to problems we haven't been able to solve with traditional approaches." Margaret Foster, who was the chairman of the board, spoke first. "Mr. Chen, I understand you've been working as a janitor for this company. What qualifies you to be a CEO?" Marcus stood up and looked each board member in the eye. "Ma'am, I've been studying this company every day for 2 years. I understand our problems better than anyone because I've seen them from the ground up, and I have solutions that combine technical expertise with real understanding of what our customers want." "Show us," Robert Taylor said bluntly. Marcus clicked to his first slide. It was time to prove himself to the most important audience of his life. Marcus's first slide showed a simple chart. It displayed the company's declining sales over the past 2 years. Red lines going down, numbers getting smaller each month. "This is where we are today," Marcus said. "We've lost 40% of our customers in 2 years. Our main competitor, SoundForge Pro, is taking our clients by offering better products." Dr. Patricia Martinez leaned forward. "We know our situation is difficult. What we want to know is what you can do about it." Marcus clicked to the next slide. This one showed customer complaints organized by category. "I've analyzed every customer service call and email complaint from the past year. The problems fall into 3 main areas: software crashes, slow performance, and confusing user interface." Sandra Williams, the technology investor, looked interested. "How did you get access to customer service data?" Marcus felt nervous. "I compiled the information from various sources over time. The important thing is what the data tells us." This was partly true. Marcus had overheard customer service calls and read complaint emails that people left open on their computers, but he could not explain that to the board. "Our competitors succeed because they solve these exact problems," Marcus continued. "They create software that works reliably and feels natural to musicians." Marcus clicked to a slide showing his technical solutions. "I've identified the specific code problems that cause our software to crash and run slowly. These are the algorithms that process audio data." He showed diagrams of computer code with highlighted sections. "Our current algorithms were written 5 years ago. They're outdated and inefficient. I've designed new algorithms that process audio 60% faster while using less computer memory." David Chen, the former bank president, raised his hand. "This technical information is impressive, but how do we know your solutions actually work?" Marcus smiled. "Because I've built working prototypes." He clicked to a new slide that showed a video demonstration. On the screen, Marcus's improved software was running side by side with the current company software. The new version loaded faster, responded quicker to user commands, and handled complex audio tasks without slowing down. "This is remarkable," Sandra Williams said. "When did you create this?" "Over the past 8 months, working nights and weekends," Marcus replied. "I've also redesigned the user interface based on how musicians actually work." The next slides showed Marcus's new interface design. Instead of complicated menus and technical terms, it looked like a real recording studio. Musicians could drag and drop instruments, Adjust sound levels with virtual knobs and record music using familiar controls. Margaret Foster was taking notes. This does look more user-friendly than our current software, but creating prototypes is different from managing a company. How would you implement these changes? Marcus had prepared for this question. I would roll out improvements in 3 phases over 3 months. Phase 1 focuses on fixing the crash and performance problems. Phase 2 introduces the new user interface. Phase 3 adds advanced features that our competitors don't have. He showed a detailed timeline with specific goals for each week. By month 3, we would have software that's faster, more reliable, and easier to use than anything else on the market. Robert Taylor, who specialized in turning around failing businesses, asked the hard question. Mr. Chen, all of this sounds good in theory, but you have no management experience. How do you plan to lead a team of experienced programmers and business professionals? Marcus clicked to his final slide. It showed an organizational chart, but not a traditional one. Instead of a pyramid with the CEO at the top, it showed a circle with different departments connected to each other. I don't plan to manage people the traditional way, Marcus said. I plan to coordinate them. Each department has experts who know their jobs better than I do. My role would be to help them work together toward common goals. He pointed to different sections of the circle. The programming team knows how to write code. The marketing team knows how to reach customers. The sales team knows how to close deals. But right now, these teams don't communicate well with each other. Dr. Patricia Martinez looked intrigued. How would you improve communication? By speaking everyone's language, Marcus replied. I understand the technical side because I'm a programmer. I understand the creative side because I'm a musician. I understand the business side because I've been studying this company for 2 years. Marcus walked closer to the board table. But most importantly, I understand our customers because I am our customer. I use music software every day. I know what frustrates musicians about our current products. Sandra Williams asked, What makes you think customers will come back to us after switching to competitors? Marcus smiled. Because musicians are always looking for better tools. If we create software that's clearly superior to what's available now, musicians will try it. And if it helps them create better music, they'll become loyal customers. He clicked back to an earlier slide showing his technical improvements. Our new software won't just match our competitors, it will be significantly better. Faster processing, more intuitive design, and unique features they can't copy quickly. Margaret Foster put down her pen. Mr. Chen, your technical knowledge is impressive and your ideas sound promising, but this board has a responsibility to our investors. We can't risk the company on an untested leader. Marcus felt his chance slipping away. He thought about the investors' ultimatum that CEO Blackwood didn't know he had overheard. 3 months to show improvement or the company would be shut down anyway. Ma'am, Marcus said respectfully. With respect, what's the alternative? The current approach isn't working. Sales continue to decline every month. If we don't try something dramatically different, what happens to the company? The board members looked at each other. They knew Marcus was right about the company's problems. Robert Taylor spoke up. What specific results would you guarantee in 3 months? Marcus took a deep breath. I would guarantee a 25% increase in software performance, a 50% reduction in customer complaints, and at least 3 new major clients. If I don't deliver these results, you can fire me immediately. And if you do deliver, Dr. Patricia Martinez asked, then you consider making me permanent CEO, or at least extending my interim period to implement the full plan. The boardroom was quiet for several minutes. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. Finally, Margaret Foster spoke. Mr. Chen, please. Wait outside while we discuss your proposal. Marcus gathered his laptop and left the boardroom. He sat in the hallway, trying not to think about what the board members were saying about him. After 30 minutes that felt like hours, CEO Blackwood came out of the boardroom. The board has made a decision, he said. They want to see you. Marcus walked back into the boardroom. All 5 board members were looking at him seriously. Margaret Foster stood up. Mr. Chen, This board has decided to approve a 3-month trial period. You will serve as interim CEO starting Monday morning. Marcus felt like the room was spinning. Really? However, she continued, there are strict conditions. You will report to Mr. Blackwood every week. You will provide detailed progress reports to this board every month. And if you don't meet the specific goals you promised, your employment will be terminated immediately. Marcus could hardly believe what he was hearing. I accept all those conditions. Sandra Williams added, we're taking a big risk on you, Mr. Chen. Don't make us regret it. I won't, Marcus said. Thank you for giving me this chance. As Marcus left the boardroom, he realized his life had just changed completely. On Monday morning, he would walk into this building not as a janitor, but as the CEO of a technology company. But first, he had to figure out how to actually do the job. Monday morning arrived faster than Marcus expected. He stood outside the Harmony Tech building wearing his best suit, holding a briefcase he had bought over the weekend. His hands were shaking slightly, but not from fear. He was excited and nervous, and terrified all at the same time. Marcus walked through the lobby and took the elevator to the executive floor. For 2 years, he had cleaned these offices at night when they were empty. Now he was coming here to work during the day, as the CEO. The first challenge came immediately. When Marcus walked into the main office area, conversations stopped. Every employee stared at him. Some looked curious, others looked angry, and many looked confused about how to treat him. Janet Kim was the first to approach him. Good morning, Mr. Chen, she said formally. I've prepared the technical reports you requested. Marcus appreciated that Janet was treating him professionally, even though it felt strange to be called Mr. Chen by someone he had only known as a janitor. But not everyone was as accepting. Steve, the programmer who had been angry on Friday, walked over with several other employees. I still think this is a mistake, Steve said loudly. But I guess we'll find out soon enough. Marcus nodded calmly. I understand your concerns, Steve. I hope I can prove myself to you over the next 3 months. 3 months, Steve repeated. That's not very long to turn around a failing company. Marcus walked to the center of the office area where everyone could see him. I know the situation is unusual for everyone. I know you have questions and concerns. So let me be completely honest with you. The office became quiet as employees gathered to listen. This company is in serious trouble, Marcus said. Our sales are down, our customers are unhappy, and our competitors are beating us. If we don't make major improvements quickly, we might not have jobs to worry about. Some employees looked surprised by Marcus's directness. Others nodded because they had suspected the problems were serious. I have ideas that I believe can save this company, Marcus continued. But I can't implement them alone. I need help from every person in this room. I need your experience, your skills, and your commitment. Marcus looked around at the faces watching him. I'm not asking you to trust me because I'm the CEO now. I'm asking you to trust my ideas because they make sense. Judge me by results, not by my previous job title. Lisa, one of the programmers, raised her hand. What exactly are your plans for the first week? Marcus smiled. I'm glad you asked. This week, we're going to fix the 3 biggest problems that cause our software to crash. I've identified the specific code issues and I have solutions ready to implement. He turned to Janet Kim. Janet, I'd like you to lead a team to review my proposed algorithm changes, test them thoroughly, and tell me honestly if they work. Janet nodded. I can do that. Marcus turned to Steve. Steve, I want you to focus on performance optimization. I have ideas for making our software run 60% faster, but I need your expertise to make sure my approach is practical. Steve looked surprised to be given such an important task. You want me to evaluate your technical ideas? I want you to improve them, Marcus replied. You have 5 years of experience with this code base. You know things I don't know. I need that knowledge. For the first time, Steve looked interested instead of angry. Marcus spent the next hour assigning tasks to different teams. He gave each group specific problems to solve and asked for their input on his proposed solutions. Instead of ordering people around. He was asking for their collaboration. By the end of the first week, Marcus had proven that his technical ideas actually worked. The crash problems were fixed, the software was running faster, and the programming team was excited about the improvements. But the real test came when they released the updated software to customers. Marcus was in his new office, the former CEO's office with the piano, when Janet Kim burst in with a huge smile. "Marcus, you need to see this," she said. Holding her laptop. On the screen was an email from Soundwave Studios, one of their former customers who had switched to a competitor 6 months ago. "Dear Harmony Tech," the email read, "we heard about your recent software updates and decided to try your new version. We are amazed by the improvements. The software is faster, more stable, and easier to use than anything we've tried. We would like to discuss returning as a customer and possibly expanding our contract." Marcus felt a wave of relief and excitement. "This is just the beginning," he said. Over the next month, similar emails started arriving regularly. Customers who had left were coming back. New customers were trying the software and becoming subscribers. Music blogs and industry websites began writing positive reviews. The programming team, including Steve, became Marcus's strongest supporters. They could see that his ideas were working and that customers loved the results. But Marcus's success created a new problem. Other technology companies began trying to recruit him. Word had spread through the industry about the janitor who became a CEO, and the amazing turnaround he was creating. 3 months after becoming interim CEO, Marcus sat in the same boardroom where he had made his presentation. But this time, the atmosphere was completely different. Margaret Foster smiled as she read the quarterly report. "Mr. Chen, these results are extraordinary. Sales are up 35% from last quarter. Customer satisfaction scores have improved by 60%. We've gained 15 new major clients." Sandra Williams added, "The industry press coverage has been incredible. 3 major music magazines have featured articles about our comeback. Our competitors are trying to copy our new features." Dr. Patricia Martinez looked at Marcus with respect. "You didn't just meet your goals, Mr. Chen. You exceeded them significantly." Marcus felt proud but also humble. "I couldn't have done this alone. Every person in this company contributed to these results." Robert Taylor asked the important question, "What are your plans for the next phase?" Marcus had prepared for this. "I want to expand into new markets. Our software is now the best available for professional musicians. But I think we can also create versions for music students, amateur musicians, and even non-musicians who want to experiment with creating music." Margaret Foster nodded approvingly. "Mr. Chen, this board is prepared to offer you the position of permanent CEO, with a significant salary increase and stock options in the company." Marcus felt overwhelmed by how much his life had changed. 6 months ago, he was cleaning these offices and dreaming of a different future. Now he was being offered permanent leadership of a successful technology company. "I accept," Marcus said simply. After the meeting, Marcus walked to his office and sat at the piano that had started this incredible journey. He played a few notes of the composition he had performed for CEO Blackwood that first day. Janet Kim knocked on his office door. "Marcus, the local news station wants to interview you about the company turnaround. They're calling it the Piano CEO Success Story." Marcus laughed. "The Piano CEO, I like that." As Marcus prepared for the interview, he thought about the lessons he had learned. Talent and knowledge are important, but they're not enough by themselves. Sometimes you need courage to take big risks. Sometimes you need to trust people who seem different or unlikely. And sometimes the best solutions come from people who see problems from a completely different perspective. Marcus had saved the company by combining his musical creativity with his technical skills and his deep understanding of customer needs. But more importantly, he had proven that success can come from anywhere, even from someone pushing a cleaning cart through empty offices late at night. The piano in Marcus's office became a symbol of the company's transformation. Employees would sometimes hear music coming from the CEO's office during lunch breaks. The melodies reminded everyone that their work was about more than just software and profits. They were helping people create something beautiful. And late at night, when the building was quiet and empty, Marcus would still play piano in his office. But now he wasn't dreaming about a different future. He was creating it, one note at a time.